Farrell here. Again, this channel is mortgage lending for entrepreneurs. We talk about real estate. This episode is going to be in a little bit of a different lane. We're here with Tanner Agar. We are at the Apothecary in Dallas, Texas. This is a whiskey bar. We've got a couple interviews here already talking to investors. And this is the man, the myth, the legend, the owner of the place.
Yeah, exactly.
One of a few restaurants. But tell us about this place.
So this is Apothecary. Apothecary was our second restaurant that we started as a group. It's really a cocktail lounge. The idea behind it was we had great cocktails at our original restaurant. Really proud of what we did at Rye. We ended up winning the Michelin Award for the best cocktails in all of Texas. But we started making cocktails that were a little too weird. That became what I was excited about. And we said, man, these are too weird for a restaurant. We need to put them on a shelf. And someday, maybe we can build a place where I can bring out all these odd cocktails. Well, it turns out, as we were opening, we had the opportunity to take the space next door to our new location of our restaurant. And so we said, great, I'll put all my weird little cocktails in that tiny little bar. And now what's funny is that tiny bar with its odd cocktails has now consumed the opposite space. So what we thought would have to be tiny because maybe people won't want to come has now become 3 times as large as originally. It now has 2 different menus in the different dining rooms. And so that's super validating for me because I wanted to play with my little potions. And now 5 years later, it's become successful.
Okay, and what are the names again of the places?
So our original restaurant, Rye. Then we have Apothecary. That's where we're sitting right now. And then we have a place we opened up last year called Flamant. And that's a French-Italian bistro where we cook over only live wood fire.
Gotcha. Okay. So we were talking about you being 25 years old?
25 when we started.
We started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I'm not 25 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You look great.
Yeah, well, thank you. But I don't think I look quite as youthful and certainly not as skinny as I did back in the day.
And so, starting a restaurant, it's obviously a massive leap of faith, right? And starting that journey, like what made you think that you could do this?
It's really the only thing I've ever wanted to do. When I was a kid, I used to cook and I just really liked it. I liked making something with my hands. And so I still really enjoy the tactile part of my job. I don't very often actually get to bartend anymore, but I still get to recipe write and I get to train people and I like that. A big challenge with a lot of jobs is you work on a computer and you're moving stuff around, but at the end of the day, you can't say, I made that and it was good. And that's something I really love about this career field. And I said, I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to try to apply myself. And I've been really fortunate with the success that we've had.
So when you were at because you mentioned coming back out of college, you were in New Zealand, coming back to get your car.
Right.
And then the journey begins. That first job you had.
Sure.
Along that journey, when did you realize this was going to be possible, that you were good at what you were doing and that it was all possible? So
my first job that I had was when I was 15. I was a Segway pizza delivery boy. So if you remember a Segway, we had a Segway and then we literally bolted on a hot box on the front of it. So basically, if you strapped a Yeti cooler to a Segway and then put deep dish pizza in that and drove around Chicago, I had that job.
Okay.
And that was sort of like my in to try to get into restaurants. But as soon as I started actually cooking, then I was just like, man, I love this and I'm good at it and I want to pursue this. I then switched into bartending once I got a little bit older. And the more things that I would make, the more things that I would interact and learn, just the better I got and the more encouraged I felt. And then at the ripe old age of 25, I had the hubris to decide I knew everything I needed to know and I should start my own place. That was a bumpy ride in a lot of ways, but obviously it worked out okay. So I'm not sure I would recommend it to other people, but it worked out for me, so it was the right choice.
Okay. I mean, we all have ideas, right? I mean, I have a million ideas and only so much time in the day to do a few of them. But people have ideas and dreams of running a restaurant or running a business. But most people don't. They don't ever make it happen. What are some of the things that push you out of that fear or push you into just, this is the time to do it, I'm not waiting any longer? Was there a turning point, a moment when you said this is the time to do it?
I think for me it's just total obsession. I'm just completely obsessed with doing this. I mean, I have hundreds of bottles of liquor at my house. I've got all this food. It's the thing I do. I go to restaurants nonstop. I think about food nonstop. So for me, there wasn't some moment where I said, this has been the reason I've been saying no, and now I'm going to say yes. It was just the natural evolution of I'm working and I'm working and I'm working. And really, I guess if you want to think about one thing, it was I was making these cocktails, and the owner of the bar I was working at the time would not put them on the menu because she said they were, too out there or too whatever. Meanwhile, I had bar regulars who were coming and seeing me and saying, this is amazing, do you think you're ready to start your own place? We would invest in you. And so it was sort of this final opportunity to stop listening to people telling me what to do all the time when I knew that I knew what I was doing. Now, did I know how to run a restaurant effectively? Not really. And so I've had some very expensive lessons over the years, really learning that. But, I had the business degree. I knew I had the technical skills in the kitchen and behind the bar. And I knew I had a couple of friends who would do it with me. So I said, maybe I don't know exactly how to put this whole puzzle together, but I've got all the pieces, and I'm so desperate to put it together that I'll find the ability to do it. And that's one of the things, if you're going to make it in business, I think you have to have is you have to decide that more than anything, you're going to make it successful, because there's going to be a lot of days where you're not successful. And when you run payroll on a Visa card, you better be really, really confident you're going to get that money back and willing to do what it takes to do so.
That's right. You used the word desperate, though. Desperate to make it happen. And when I hear that story, I hear, okay, regulars coming in, they want this off-menu drink, and they probably get it very often or regularly, but my owner, my manager, won't listen to me, won't believe enough in me that what I'm doing is going to help the business grow or do the right thing.
Right.
And so is that desperation coming from, hey, I'm just tired of not being listened to or not believed in? How would you describe that?
I would say that's part of it, but then part of it's also that idea that you really want to put forward this thing that you know is good, right? And you hear like musicians talk about this too, right? Or you hear like other artists where you go, I had this thing and it was inside of me and I wanted to show it to people and I would do whatever it took to show them, right? And for me, for better or worse, we're definitely more artistically driven than we are financially driven as a business. And I would say that's probably the wrong answer to tell your investors. I probably wouldn't pitch that to them now, right? But the idea that like when we started our business, we wanted to show you the food we wanted to make. We wanted to show you the drinks that we wanted to make, right? That's what mattered most to us. And that sort of drives it, is because you're obsessed with the work and you need it to be out there. And you hope you can make all the numbers work around it.
Yeah, there was a video that I was watching. I think it was Peter Thiel talking about the people that he invests in are people that have that obsession that no matter what, I'm going to figure this out because I care enough about the business. And I guess he has this sixth sense that he can see that in people in some way.
Yeah.
But the obsession, you got to have that to your craft to be successful.
For sure, because there are way easier things you can do than be in the restaurant business, and definitely than start your own business. It's just way easier, as opposed to like everything that goes wrong here ultimately is my fault, because I should have seen it coming, or I should have trained people better, or I should have set something up, right? And if you're going to have that ultimate responsibility every day, if it was something I wasn't excited about doing, I would have stopped years ago.
What was that first drink, or the drink that you mentioned that those regulars were getting that was off menu?
Oh, there was just all kinds of stuff. I wanted to use these like weird spirits, and I would kind of do these things, and I just wanted to make things my style. And I worked at a place that was much more classic, right? They wanted, we make these drinks, and these are the drinks people like, and that's the end of the story. I was like, yeah, but I've had all those drinks already, so I don't. For us, it's like a drug. Like the reason our menus are always changing is because we can't help ourselves, and we have a whole culture of people that can't help themselves. We have a $11,000 centrifuge back there just so your drinks can be clear, as opposed to cloudy. Okay. Was that necessary to buy? No, to be honest with you. I definitely told our investors it was necessary at one time, but it wasn't technically necessary. But you're like, we have all these tools, we have all these techniques, and we roll that out, and I'm really proud of the awards and things that's then generated for us. But what was it necessary for? It was necessary to feed us, to feed our hunger for what it is that we create every day.